Today we have with us two eminent personalities and panelists from the field of psychology and political science itself. So we have Ms. Sonali Saini and Mr. Deepak Tomar from SRM University's Delhi NCR. Hello, ma'am. Hello, sir. Thank you for joining us today here. So before we start, I would like to take the privilege to introduce them to all of you. So Ms. Sonali Saini is an assistant professor in the Department of Psychology at SRM University. She has done a graduation and post-graduation from the University of Delhi and also has a postgraduate diploma in guidance and counseling from Jamia Millia Islamia University. She's currently pursuing her PhD with her research interest in social, cognitive, and positive psychology. She has a teaching experience of more than 3 years and also has a UNESCO certified expressive art-based therapist. So welcome, ma'am. We also have amongst us Deepak sir. So Deepak sir is an assistant professor in the Department of Political Science at SRM University. He has pursued his graduation and post-graduation from the University of Delhi and is presently working on political dynamics of India's responses to refugees. He's also a university gold medalist and his research interests include international relations and public policy, Indian government, and politics. So welcome, sir. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, thank you so much.
And to seamlessly take us through the session, we have with us Ms. Shilpa Singh, who will be moderating the entire webinar and discussion for us. So hello, ma'am.
Hi, good evening. Good evening, everyone.
Yeah. So Shilpa ma'am is the head of student and she comes. Before I hand over to Shilpa, just a couple of things to keep in mind. Please use your chat box to ask any questions you have and make sure that you mark your chat to everybody and not just the panelists, so that everybody's in loop and your question could also be somebody else's question. So happy learning and over to Shilpa ma'am. Stage is all.
Great. Thank you so much, Sana. Thank you, everyone. Good evening, everybody. I hope that I'm audible to everyone. You'll have to excuse my voice. I have a little bit of a messed up throat at the moment. If I'm audible and visible, and we're all audible and visible to you at the moment, if you could type a quick yes in the chat box so that we know that we're on the right track and that we are audible and visible to everyone. Please remember to mark your chat to everybody. So I hope I'm audible and visible. If you could mark a quick yes in the chat, that will help me understand that we're on the right track here. So I'll just wait for that yes in the chat box, please. If you could do that for me, just to let us know that we're audible. Right? Anybody would be able to just send that in. I hope we're audible and visible. I'm not getting any answers. So am I not audible and visible? I'm getting very worried now. All you have to do is type a yes in the chat box and we'll know that I'm audible and visible to everyone. So I'm hoping here goes everything. Sana, you can still hear us and see us, right? I hope.
Yes, we can.
All right, great. Well, I'm hoping that we'll have an interaction with everyone in the chat. In case there are questions that show up that you have in your mind when you are speaking, please make sure that you go ahead and type your answer, your question into the chat box. And we'll try and take it up for you right during the session itself. So Sana actually laid the foundation down really interestingly for the session. We are talking about what seem like two very different areas, which is psychology, which is understanding the mind and behavior, and political science, which is trying to be able to understand governance. The interesting thing, of course, is both of the eminent speakers we have today will agree at the core of this is people and what is it that people think and do, and how our cultures, our thoughts, our ideas, how we're brought up, what is it that we go through as individuals, then governs what is it that we do as a collective, right? And what is it that we choose to do as a collective as well. When we think about psychology, we think about very traditional roles that come into mind, that there are options that you have to think about. Is it a really secure profession? What are we going to do? And similarly, unfortunately, political science is often considered to be just a base subject for something else, whereas there is so much more to it. And we've had people who've been recently in the news who've been specialists in political science who are psychologists who are able to understand how trends work in terms of being able to do your voting trends and things like that. In order for you to be able to understand the depth and breadth of what is it that the humanities mean, a good understanding of not only psychology, but also an understanding of psychology, political science interplay is very important to give you input on how an individual thinks and works and what that individual thought process will mean for the larger collective, which means how we think, what we're thinking as individuals also determines who we vote for. How we're thinking, what we're doing as individuals in terms of how we're handling our collective and individual experiences with each other as well as with the government will decide who we bring to power. What will decide what kind of structures we follow, whether we'll decide whether we're capitalists or whether we're socialists or we're communists, and all of that will come from there. So my main point of being able to raise that and bring that to you is that the interconnectedness and the multidisciplinary connectedness of all the subjects within the humanities is extremely critical. Some of you who might be here may be very keen and very interested in just a career saying, I love psychology or I love political science and I want to find out what I can do. Some of you may be students who are taking other streams and other subjects who are science students or commerce students. And it's extremely important for you to also understand when we think about the different streams coming together, a lot of the times the humanities or the art streams are considered to be in a different light altogether, that they're not hard areas to be able to work in. Hard areas in the sense that what is going to come out of them. But what I want to be able to tell you is when we look at the humanities subjects, you have to understand where you have science and the engineering and the mathematics, that is what makes us do things in terms of application. It's the humanities with psychology, political science, specifically in focus today, that makes the world go around. So we are the ones that bind everything together in that light, right? And so I am saying we because I love the humanities a lot. So therefore, I'm somebody who feels that the humanities actually drives the engine of the world, and we need to pay attention to those areas specifically. So I want to be able to get us to be able to talk about what we can do, talk about what are the opportunities, and talk about what is it that you can study as a student, what you can do to prepare yourself for courses, and what you should be thinking about when it comes to the future. So I want to be able to start off, and I think I want to be able to get you to be able to understand. And so I'll start off with one of the questions that I have in mind here, and we'll figure out who starts to be able to speak first. Okay, so when we're looking at changes that have happened over the past few years in the world of psychology or in the world of political science, in terms of academia, in terms of their application in the world, first and foremost, I want to be able to talk about what those changes have been and how students can now think about these subjects differently. So if I could start with, Sonali first, if you could share with me, if that's all right with you, Deepak, we'll start with Sonali first and then have you jump in with political science. Both the subjects are very close to my heart, so I want to see that.
Yes.
Yes, perfect.
Yes.
Thank you. All right. So Sonali, your thoughts and ideas on how has the domain changed over the last few years? So there is a certain anyone there. How is the domain changed? Okay. There we go. Chat's been enabled now. Thank you, everyone. Okay. Sorry. All right. Here we go.
Okay. Hi. Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much, ma'am, for such a nice introduction about psychology and political science. And I hope there are people who are having a lot of questions. So when we talk about what have the changes that have come across in psychology and political science, in case if we talk about psychology, it is an emerging area, right? And we have seen psychology not being so popular in last few decades, but now it has emerged like anything. And people are so much into psychology, they have been talking about it basically after the pandemic. So it has come into so much of attention, it has seeked so much of attention that people have been talking about it, not only in terms of certain clinical disorders like depression and anxiety, but also in a lot of terms. So we have been seeing a lot of things happening in our society. And if we talk about our topic governance, so when we talk about it, how psychology is emerging from there. So a lot of things have happened in case if we consider this last 1 year.
Yeah.
If we consider this farmers' protest. So that is where psychology plays a role. What they have been sitting on roads since 1 year, it will almost be 1 year now. So what are the things which are affecting their behavior? What are the factors which are making them so stringent that they're sitting over there for one
Right.
year? What are the policies that should be made keeping in mind the benefits of those farmers, and how farmers have to understand the psyche of the government as well?
Right, right.
So this is one field. Another field, if we talk about a lot of migration was happening at the time of pandemic.
Yeah.
So in case if we talk about the governance, so here is the role of psychology there when we talk about what are the problems which were faced by migrants. So it's not only about the financial problem, but also about what was the mental trauma they were going through. There were a lot of people who got unemployed. There were a lot of people who were not having any kind of wages to feed their family.
Right.
So what was the trauma they were going through? Now, in case if we talk about psychology in the field of pandemic also, for doctors, for the patients, for the people who have lost their family members.
Absolutely.
There is the thing where psychology actually plays an important role. Similarly, if we talk about what is happening in Afghanistan right now, again, psychology is there. So it's not just about, it is, of course, so political science has to play a huge role. But this is where psychology also come into consideration about what again is the trauma. There are refugees who are being, shifting from that particular country. There have been people who have been struggling to move from that country. So what are the mental traumas they're going through? So when we talk about psychology as a field, it is having huge scope. Because we need to understand the human behavior, and it's not just about understanding the trauma and understanding what all problems they are going through. Rather, it is also in a particular scenario that how can we develop certain policies that is going to benefit the citizens of India, the citizens outside, the parents, the children, the farmers. So all the areas of population, how they can be benefited. So how we have to create certain policies like that. So that is where psychology actually plays a very important role. And this is how it has emerged from so-called decades, which was not even known. Psychology was not even known when I did my graduation. So very few people used to know it, but now everyone actually knows what psychology is.
True. No, you're absolutely right and very well said. I think being able to understand the individual trauma and being able to understand what that impact has will also have a larger impact. Being able to understand the generational and trauma that people will carry as well with them. So Deepak, your thoughts on how is it that you feel political science as a field has changed, and what is it that the major changes in your opinion would have been over the last few years?
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for the question. As you have already said, that political science has emerged recently.
Deepak, your audio was a little garbled. Was I the only one who heard that? No. Okay, try again.
Okay, so there is always a particular aspect or a perspective attached with this subject, political science. Political science has always been seen there are a lot of
we're getting a little disturbance. You'll have to just say the little bit of the piece that you had right now, because we lost your voice in the middle.
So am I audible now, ma'am?
Now you are.
Okay. So I was talking about that there is always a perspective attached with the subject. So political science has always been seen as a subject or as a gateway to UPSC examinations, or as a gateway to competitive examinations like SSC and other things. But in the 21st century, this subject has evolved enormously. So what all things are there, what all factors have led to it is all about expanded in terms of research. As humanities, I would say humanities and social sciences entirely, it has been revamped.
Yeah.
So there is a lot of scope which is coming up these days, because humanities and social sciences is something which is actually incorporating that kind of sense of attitude to serve the people. Not just, I would not see, not at all. There is no see perspective of mine that the other fields are not doing it. Yes, but in terms of making people much more aware about the human behaviors, about the social aspect of education. So these subjects, humanities and social sciences, are very much into it, and that is why there have been so much of research there. I would say that everything under the sky can be achieved through these subjects, but then again, in the past few years, there has always been so much of political turmoils, political governance related issues. There have been a lot of things which have happened in international relations, and it is a saying that everything there, as he says that there are no facts, only interpretations. So
Yeah, no, we end up having a little bit of a garble. Maybe you want to check your connectivity. There might be an issue on your connectivity.
uh, okay, ma'am, I just check it.
Yeah. All right. We'll just check that to make sure. We'll just check on connectivity. And so I think while Deepak is doing that and double checking to make sure he's connected, um, so what I'll do is I'll try and go to more of a psychology based question, a little bit more clarity on psychology there from Sonali, and see if we can get that, and be able to do that. So we've got a little bit of an understanding of the interconnectedness of the subject, and we're talking about that. So Sonali, you were talking about how we're saying that initially when you were also studying it, there was very little knowledge or very little awareness about psychology and what can be done. So a lot of times there is an aspect there where people say that, if I am a psychologist, all I can become is a counselor or a therapist, and that's the only thing. And there is also a massive confusion between what a psychologist is and what a psychiatrist is. So there is that whole concept happens. And I also want you to be able to just say a little bit about, when we're talking about psychology, apart from therapy, apart from becoming a therapist and doing that, what are the other areas in which I can go ahead and work with psychology, and what is it that I can do with it if I have studied the subject?
All right, ma'am. Yes, this is a very big notion about psychology, that people can become either therapists or counselors or psychologists after doing psychology. So this is actually what is meant by psychology for the lay people. And also, there is also confusion between psychologist and a psychiatrist. So I would just clear that once. Psychiatrists are the people who have done their masters in doctorate. So the MD, so after MBBS. So they are the one who actually prescribe medicines for any of the psychological problems like depression. If you go to a psychiatrist, they'll simply provide the description, the medicines. Whereas psychologists are the one who are not focusing on medicines, rather on therapies. So according to the clinical psychologist, any of the disorders could be treated with the help of the therapies and counselings that we are doing. So when we talk about this particular thing, so this is the major difference. They are from the MBBS science background, and the psychologists are either from science or humanities background, majorly from humanities background, and they basically focus on the therapies. And other than counseling and clinical psychology, there are a lot of options in psychology right now. As one thing, I think one of the question has also been there, in case if what are the options of psychology in corporate. So there are huge options. If we talk about their psychologists are having options in working in NGOs, first option, where they can actually focus on different areas. So there are NGOs for children where psychologists can work. There are NGOs for old age where psychologists can actually take care of their well-being, of their mental health. There are also psychologists in the environmental field. So
Right.
what all things are happening in the environment right now, how they are mentally affecting people who are living in a polluted environment or in any kind of environmental stressor. There is something called environmental stresses. So environmental psychologists actually work on taking care of those stressors that they do not affect the human beings. Then if
Wonderful.
we talk about developmental psychologist, developmental psychology is also one of the option where people are actually working with the children in the developing age.
Mm.
What are problems they come across? There is something called special children, right? So the children who are actually having certain kind of psychological disorders like autism spectrum disorder, or if we talk about intellectual disability or Down syndrome. So what kind of care, what kind of education should be given to those children so that they develop with the so-called normal children? So initially there was this concept of having separate schools or separate classes for
Right.
special children, but now this is again a policy. So there are certain people, certain psychologists who are developing these policies that special children should not study separately. Rather, they should be integrated with the people who are very normal, right? So that they actually gain some practices, they actually gain some knowledge. So this is one. Then policy making is the other thing. Then people also work with, if we connect it with political science, there are also policy makers who focus on psychology. Let's say in case if we talk about refugees. So
Mhm.
what are the problems they are going through? If they have been staying in camps, what all things they have been facing, and what all policies can be actually developed in order to provide those mental health services to those refugees.
Yeah.
Now, positive psychology is one of the field which is emerging it's very much emerging. So in which psychologists actually they focus on developing resilience, developing happiness in the people. So it's
Uh-huh.
not just about getting away from stress or getting away from certain psychological disorder, but it is also moving towards a positive side. So
Mhm.
that is so there are a huge number of options. There are a lot of options in psychology which people focus on.
All right, wonderful. So there were some questions that I do want to be able to answer. I think in terms of if you choose commerce or you're choosing humanities, you can still study psychology. If you're from science, you can study psychology, no problem. Right.
Yeah.
So for you, Deepak, I have the same question, and I'll kind of throw light on that as well, and get that input. So you said so very correctly that political science is thought to be the one space you go to if you want to crack the UPSC exam. But what if I really, really love political science as a subject? I'm not sure I want to do the UPSC exam. What are some of the career options that I can explore with political science as my passion and my area of interest?
So, as I continued, I'll be continuing from the same point, which is basically leading to all these factors. Am I audible, ma'am?
It garbles in the middle. I don't know why. I'm not able to figure out why, because I think your connectivity has gone up and gotten better. Do you have headphones? Maybe that might help. I'm not sure. Just try again now. See, I'm seeing your video clearly, so it's not a hardcore connectivity issue. If there was a major issue with the connectivity, your video would also be an issue. Your video is clear to me. All right, why don't you try speaking now? Deepak, can you hear me?
So, is it fine, ma'am?
Yeah, okay, we've got an echo. I'll switch off my mic. Hold on.
Okay, all right, okay. So, what I was talking about is that beyond UPSC, also political science is uh, seen everywhere now. I would say that everything under the sky can be achieved through this subject, through humanities and social sciences, because it is not just regarding, or it is not just related to theoretical aspect, but it is much more into human behavior. So when it comes to career options other than government services, other than UPSC, I would suggest that, see, there is a huge scope nowadays in public policy. There is a huge scope nowadays in research. there is a huge scope nowadays in NGOs, which is again an evolving thing in these days, especially in democratic societies. And see, civil society and other factors like NGOs, they are playing a huge, important, and significant role in formulating the policies as well. Okay, so these organizations are acting as a catalyst, or I would say acting as a pressure group, which basically leads to formulation of public policies these days. Okay, so and governance, as the topic says, governance is all about formulating policies and formulating and providing services. Although there are a lot of entities attached to it, the government is there, but the government would be formulating a policy only and only when there is a kind of a demand, or the government feels like creating a policy which would definitely going to be helpful in development of the people. So again, when I say development, so there is again a new wide area of research and a new wide area of developmental studies that comes into picture, and that is again related to political science. Okay, so these days, as ma'am Sonali ma'am has already talked about a lot of about political science regarding Afghanistan, or regarding about refugee, which is again a hardcore topic of mine in research. uh, the refugee policies, formulations, or refugee related issues, or refugee related or migration related issues, these are again coming into the developmental aspects of political science. And nowadays, because of so much of eventful things happening, I would see say that Afghanistan and a lot of crisis happening, be it your Islamic State in Iraq and Syria, the issues, Syrian crisis, be it the European migration issue that was there, be it the Brexit issue, everything is related to it. Everything is related to it, and there is a lot of scope. Nowadays, it is not just about going into research only. Again, in democratic societies, especially in terms, if I talk about India, you would find that there are elections taking place almost throughout the year. I would say 12 months, you'll be finding that now we are having election in this state, now we are switching on to the other state. So there again, political strategists, see political scientists who are coming into picture, who are basically supporting the candidates, who are basically formulating policies, and who are basically formulating the entire agenda of the elections. So they are very much into it. And if I have to quote an example regarding this, I would say that the best example would be West Bengal election that happened. And I would not take any name here, but there is this organization which is very much proficient, I would say very much proficient when it comes to election strategies. And it played a very much important and a significant role when it comes to West Bengal election. And that person owning that organization was very much into news, and very much into news, that I would definitely leave all these work in case if my in case if my prediction and my research into it went wrong. So all these factors are there. So that means that political scientists are playing a very significant role. So these are certain areas, and I would not just say this, but apart from government examination, apart from research, apart from developmental studies, also nowadays there are corporates also who are coming into picture. How does corporate incorporate political science students? So there are political strategies which who are required for, suppose if there is an MNC, there is an MNC which is coming into picture, and MNC wants things to be done, things to be negotiated with the government and everything other, all these factors. So again, political scientists are hired. You would find an enormous scope when it comes to having journalism, which is again related to political science. And as the subject is about political science and psychology career options, again, these two subjects are very much deeply contextually articulated together also, and also very much in congruence to each other. Why in congruence to each other? It was about elections, then political communication is very important. And these political communications or determinants of voting behaviors, they all are having a psychological aspect as well as the political aspect attached to it. So again, these two subjects are very much into the picture, very much having a lot of scope attached to it. But then we need to take a right path. We should see focus on, in case if we do love the subject, we should focus on the right path to attain success. It is not just limited to government examinations, or it is not just limited to a specific area. It is also related to a lot other things you can do, lot other things what you can uh, through which you can serve the society, through which you will be a better person, through which you will be a better citizen in the society. And that is very much important, and that is very much important through political participation in the society. You, we being a democratic society, we being living in democratic era. So in case if we are not at all into see political things, I would say that there are people who are not at all having that kind of general awareness about your rights. This is again very important aspect. And these things comes when you actually uh, uh, try and make yourself aware, and through these subjects as well. It is not just that each and every person has requires a particular kind of a knowledge of political science. No, the students of political science are the ambassador of creating knowledge, are the ambassador of making people aware of the society about their rights. So that is something again very important and significant, ma'am.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. So beautifully articulated. Thank you so much. And I think it's wonderful that both of them have been able to tell us about the connections that we see. Now, whether we're talking about refugee crisis, we're talking about the elections that are constantly happening in our country, or the fact that how we're choosing and what our political will looks like. See, all of the students read the preamble to the Constitution in the beginning of their political science book, and then don't really pay attention to what it actually means sometimes. So we the people, and I sit here and we talk about the rights that we have, and we don't talk really about the duties that we have sometimes also. So when you're studying political science, it's also about the duties we have as a citizen. And when you're studying psychology, it's also about the duties you have as an individual, not only to yourself and taking care of your own mental health, but also how it is that you impact that. And I think Sonali brought up a really interesting point when she talked about, say, you're talking about developmental psychology, you're talking about psychology, from for somebody who's much older or for an older population. And in a lot of the European countries, you're seeing that coming together of things. For example, you've got a crisis that's coming in with borders, with Brexit taking place, with borders having opened up. You've got a stopping of immigrants that has happened. You've got a much younger population that doesn't exist anymore, much older population that lives in most of Europe. There is a whole element of geriatric psychology that comes in the picture. But the fact that you have a much older population also has a direct impact on what kind of policy that government's going to have, what kind of governance rules, what does it impact, and what does it mean for their economic systems? How are they generating work? So one of the biggest things that I would say that for those students who are looking at wanting to be able to study psychology or political science or sociology or anything, please, science, commerce, psychology, sociology, political science, history, geography, whatever you want to study, you need to be able to see these are not in isolation. These are all interconnected subjects. It's when I am as an individual, I am dealing in psychology. That individual gets bigger and becomes society. It is sociology. What that society does is political science in terms of how they run themselves. And what we do to govern ourselves becomes law. And so everything is interconnected. And the more we're able to understand that interconnected element, we are able to better work in that. So I'm really glad that you guys, and really excited to be able to see that we're seeing that interconnectedness and doing that. Um, so we've got a thought about public policy, and I'm really glad that you brought up the point, Deepak, about how corporates are now looking at being able to look at people from political science backgrounds, and corporates, by the way, are also picking up psychology background people to be there and available to provide therapy to people who are highly stressed out at work, because we've just created a world which is extremely stressed out. But when you're looking at political science, or you're looking at political science in corporate, you're looking at that element of being able to see that there is policy that's there. You will have a head of policy in every single organization. And that's going to be, you're going to have to pay attention to that. And of course, unfortunately, the head of policy actually gets the flack a great deal from everybody in terms of what that organization is doing. Okay. So let's talk about internships and areas like that in a little bit, and we'll talk about how is it that you can build that profile with both political science and psychology anywhere. If someone wants to pursue psychology for UPSC, if you like the subject, Meghna, by all means do it. You should actually be picking a subject you really love if you want to do the UPSC exam. Otherwise, you're going to be in trouble. All right. So let's talk about educational prerequisites. Let's get down to talking about that. Then I'll talk about the internships and possibilities and what is it that SRM provides students. So do I need any form of a prerequisite? I'm a commerce student. I'm a science student. Can I go ahead and take psychology or political science as subjects? What are my subject prerequisites? So let's go with Deepak first, and then I'll go to Sonali. I'm switching the order around.
Okay. So when it comes to taking humanities, social sciences, it is not just you do not require any kind of a background to attain knowledge about these subjects, to pursue their careers into it. So it is not at all required. By the way, let me tell you that I pursued my class 12 from PCM. And
all
then
right,
I
great.
choose this subject. Then I just choose this subject because it basically clicked my interest. So I completely switched my stream. So it is completely dependent on your interest. If you are thinking that you can do wonders with the subject, you should go ahead. There is no hard and fast rule. There is no such kind of a criteria that you cannot study these subjects. But yes, definitely, in case if you are going into it, you should go with the full fledged. You should go with all your strength, because otherwise, yes, you may have that kind of a mental stress that maybe I may get a job or I may not get a job. But it totally depends on how you pursue your career in that particular subject. There are, again, I would say there are enormous uh, um, um, scope into it, but that scope has to be evaluated in a very wise manner. That has to be done, and that has to be done by you. There are mentors, we are mentors out here, we are going to help you out in that. But definitely that has to be taken, there has to be a very wise decision when you are doing it. But in case if we are talking about eligibility criteria, no, there is no such thing. If you are interested into it, you can definitely get into it.
Wonderful. And Sonali, for psychology, what is my situation? We also have a very specific question of, can I do a BSc psychology after I have done my humanities? And we've got a question that had come in earlier of BA psychology and applied psychology. So let's try and get these questions out for them as well. And so they're doing that and get that clarity. Yeah.
Yeah. So before going into the answers, ma'am, I can see a lot of questions from the participants. So there could be a possibility that all the questions are not answered because there are a lot of questions. So what we are doing is we are answering it as a whole, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
People, in case if you actually again have some doubts, you can always write in the chat box. Yeah. So when we talk about this careers and the options, so one question that I saw, which ma'am also has said, that see, BSc, MSc and Masters in Psychology, if we talk about Masters in Arts, both are same. Both takes you to be a psychologist, right? One thing is that there are universities who prefer the people from science backgrounds to do BSc Psychology. It is a bit more oriented towards biological aspects. Though I would not say that biological aspects are not taught in BA honors psychology, they are also taught there because every human behavior is having certain biological perspective, biological background behind it. If we talk about depression, if we talk about any kind of change, if we talk about development, it is not just only psychology. There are certain biological aspects related to it. So even in BA psychology and MA psychology, all these things are taught. And it's not the criteria that you can become a clinical or a counseling psychologist only after doing BSc or MSc. No, you can also pursue it after doing your BA and MA. So it's not just about MSc. So it's just a matter of degree. There are certain universities which are providing the degree for BA. There are some other which is providing a degree for BSc. So that is one difference. Other than that, if we talk about the careers, as I've already told, that other than the therapies and counseling, there are a lot of other career options as well. And it totally depends on what is your interest area. So in case if you are interested in the counseling field, so you do your graduation, then you do your post graduation, and there is a diploma for guidance and counseling. You go for that particular counseling diploma, and then you would be a counselor. In case if you want to become an RCI psychologist, so to treat the patients with psychological disorders, then you will have to go under RCI license for MPhil. So even though government of India has actually finished it, it is not pursuing MPhil is not important, but I would like to make this important that for psychology, to be an RCA recognized psychologist, you have to undergo the MPhil, where you will be practicing, you'll learn to practice in hospitals, where they'll be teaching you how to deal with patients. And after that, you will be getting RCI license to work as a clinical psychologist. Other than that, in case if you want to go to corporates, you just have to do your specialization in masters in industrial and organizational psychology, where you can go to corporates and the related fields. So it totally depends on which specialization do you want. That specialization comes in the masters. So even though what we are doing at SRM here is that in the last year, we are actually giving the specialized papers. So the people who are interested towards industrial organizational, we are also giving that option. We are also giving the option of clinical and counseling for the people who are interested in clinical and counseling. And it's not just about the theoretical practice that we are giving, the theoretical information that we are giving. We are also giving the live projects, internship. Internship is a very important part, not only in psychology, but also in political science and the other fields. So we have actually made internship as mandated. Right. Where you can go, it's not just you can go to the clinics and hospitals only, it's totally your interest area. In case if you want to go further with industrial organizational, it's totally your interest area where you want to do the internship, where the faculties are supporting the students to do the internship. Other than that, we are also organizing projects where the students are actually given the practical exposure of the field. Right, so it's not just in the psychology, it's also in the other courses also in political science as well, where people are actually, they are being given the projects where they actually get into the field and do the research. Right, wonderful. Thank you. So I do want to clarify.
I would like to add on to this.
Yeah,
point
please. Yeah.
These live projects which are being offered here in SRM University, they are very much open. They are going to be they are actually so wide in aspect that even a student of political science can go on and work on environment impact assessment, how environment is acting upon in formulating policies. So if I talk about a lot of environmental movements like Medha Patkar, so these people have actually enlightened the citizens of the country about environmental aspects.
Right.
So yes, so there are a lot of scholars, there are a lot of people who are actually very much proactive in writing on all these topics. So yes, these live projects are very much going to be helpful in shaping your career in higher education. So it is not just a BA honors degree. So definitely it will shape you to take your masters, to pursue your masters, to pursue your higher education. And it will these projects, these live projects and internship programs, they are also going to decide upon your area of interest or interdisciplines within the subject. So suppose if a political science student, if he or she is very much into human rights,
yeah,
so he can directly relate it with the refugee crisis, be it the Rohingya crisis which is going on, be it what kind of illegal migrants come from the eastern part of the country. So all these aspects are very much into it. And again, I would say, these subjects, humanities and social sciences, it is not just about facts. There are no facts, only interpretations. So this is a quote from Frederick. So yes, again, it is all about interpretation. It is not just about facts. Yes, there will be stats. You have to interpret it as per your needs, as per your requirement. If you definitely think that your interpretation would going to serve the society in a much better way, definitely go for it.
Yeah, great, brilliant. So somebody said that, can I still do I just want to answer a couple of things, so I'm clarifying points. Can I do a BSc psychology and prescribe medication? No, the only person who can prescribe medication is a medical doctor. So you have to do an MBBS, specialize in psychiatry, and then only you'll be able to write a prescription. And you look at it from that perspective only, where you're looking at the imbalance in the head. You can then go ahead and work with a therapist who is a psychologist to be able to supplement the medicine and the work that it's doing. Can an engineering graduate do masters in political science and start research in international relations? Deepak, question for you.
Yes, absolutely. There is, again, I would say that there is no restriction at all. In case if you can pursue it, if you really have interest into it, you can do it. And masters in international relations, see, for the past 2 decades or so, I would say it is now much more a traditional course. It has become a traditional course. But definitely, with international relations, there are other aspects also attached. There are subfields: European studies, there are subfields, South Asian studies. So there are African studies, even developmental studies can be attached to international relations. So you need to choose your topic, you need to choose your subfield wisely. So international relations have been there in a lot of universities for the past 2 decades or so. It picked up, but now lot of students, more majorly political science students, they have a kind of a leaning, they have a kind of an inclination towards only international relations. But I know a lot of people who have left their jobs, have a specialization in international relations, and then they are working again on developmental studies. So these two are incongruent to each other.
Right.
Then again, it is very important to take your decision. Yes, you can definitely pursue. If you are a BTech, you can go for masters in political science, be it international relations or any of the field.
All right, wonderful. So I want you to both be able to give a little bit more clarity to students who are on here about the specific courses or degrees that are offered in both political science as an area, as well as psychology as an area at SRM. Especially you're both from the Sonipat campus, so we want to be able to get ideas on that. So if you could shed light on that, that'd be great. So Deepak, let's start with you first with political science. I am a student. I want to be able to go to SRM to study political science. What are my options and what can I study? And both of you, if you could help me out also, what will you do as a student for me to be able to help me understand the environment, the industry better? What is the exposure I will get as a student? So if you could help me, both of you, with your areas with that, that'd be great. So Deepak, if we could start with you, that'd be great.
So we at SRM University are offering a degree in undergraduation. Basically, it is a BA honors political science. So it is based on choice-based credit system. So it is very much incorporating all the UGC norms and all kinds of credit system and everything. So it all depends on how much credit a person earns. So not just political science, there are a lot of interdisciplines attached to it. So from political theory and thought, which is again a foundation of political science, if you are not able to understand political theory, political thought, which is absolutely leaning or absolutely taking your foundations, making your foundations. So from then you can pick up international relations. There are other subfields like public administration. There are there is comparative politics, which is there. Okay, so even a lot of other things like Indian political thought, Indian government and politics, which is very much into knowing about what kind of an Indian political system is shaped these days. Okay, so it is about knowing your country, it is about knowing the constitution of the country. So these factors, these are the various interdisciplines which are there, which are offered in these 3 years.
Okay.
But these 3 years are going to help you out in shaping your career ahead. So we are here offering you an exposure to all the interdisciplines attached to this subject. But then for higher studies, you need to take a kind of a specific area where you can work, where you can research, and along with be honest, all these aspects, we are also helping the students with research. So there is this public opinion and survey research paper, which is
Okay.
again very important aspect of political science honors. So where we try and incorporate knowledge about how surveys are conducted, how determinants of voting behavior can be analyzed, what kind of these aspects can be utilized in research oriented things. So these are there. Again, there is soft skills which is attached to it. Humanities and social sciences is not just limited to having debates and all these things, obviously, but debates and how you speak, these things are also something which is going to matter a lot in the
Mhm.
upcoming era, and that is why we as a university is focusing on providing soft skill training to almost every student. So it is how you express, it is how you communicate to the world. In case if you are having that kind of a knowledge, that has to be shaped in beautiful words, that you need to communicate it directly in a very polite manner. So this is also putting a lot of impact. Along with that, yes, as we have already shared this, there are live projects attached to it, there are internship programs attached to it. So internship programs not just limited to some of the areas NGOs, but also we are there to help you out in getting into some of the government think tanks like Niti Aayog. Niti Aayog again is offering a lot of internship. There are parliament internship programs which are there. Okay, there is a lot of other internship program where you work with the member of parliament.
Right.
How you are actually going to, these are the aspects where you learn how you work in an organization, how you work in the public sector. Okay, and how these things can help you out in getting into public policy formation.
Mhm. Mhm.
So these are some of the areas. And definitely on an honors degree and an undergraduate degree is there where you shape your careers for higher education.
Yeah.
Undergraduate degree in political science has to be uh, taken in case if you are obviously UPSC is one of the aspect attached to it. But when it comes to hardcore political science, masters is a must. I would suggest masters in political science is a must. And
Yeah, I
nowadays,
agree.
along with Afghanistan crisis is an eye opener for all the people. It has revived, I would say, it has revived the Gandhian and peace studies.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's true.
it is not just about Gandhi's aspect or Gandhism, which we study as a political philosophy. No, Gandhi has always been related to peace studies.
Mm.
Now, this would definitely get a boom in peace studies. This is my perspective. Basically, I definitely consider that a lot of negotiations and diplomacy can solve a lot of things, can solve complicated issues, where academics, where scholars of political science, where experts in peace studies can really work and can really provide a solution to such things. So again, there will be a boom in peace studies. That is my perception.
Wonderful. Thank you. Sonali, just your input also for the degrees that are offered by SRM. What are the options that can happen for psychology? Pranisha, your question has been answered in the chat. Please scroll up. You'll be able to see the answer to your question. I have given you the answer. Please scroll up. All right. Yeah, Sonali, sorry, over to you.
So here at SRM, we are providing the degree BA Honors Psychology, Bachelor in Arts in Psychology. And within that, it's a 3 years program, as Mr. Deepak has already told about the CBCS whole thing. So it's a credit-based system where we are actually focusing on how much credit a person has to use, has to earn in order to become a graduate in psychology.
Right.
So within that, because we are focusing, we are having students from all the streams, from commerce, from science, from humanities. And I have also seen in the chat box, people have written what to do in case if the student has commerce, right? So we have planned our curriculum in such a way that it is actually benefiting all the students. So for the people, for example, in commerce who want to, pursue career in psychology, not as a clinical psychologist, but something from the commerce. So we are teaching something like consumer behavior. So one of the very important aspect in commerce is that you have to know what is the behavior, what is the psyche of the consumer. So you would have seen in today's world, the advertisements are made in such a way that they actually impact the people emotionally. So if
Yeah.
you see on the roads as well, there are messages written. Earlier, there were messages drive slow. Now, if you see a lot, I have seen a lot of places drive slow. Someone is waiting for you at home.
Mhm.
So this is where psychology plays an important role. What impacts do you have to put when people see it? They are actually behaving in a certain manner. If you see the advertisement, they actually impact your emotional well-being. They actually impact what all things you have to focus on, how a consumer would be attracted towards the product that I am selling. So this is where the commerce background actually comes into play. So other than that, I also read a comment about the forensic criminal psychology. So there are also people who are interested in law, basically in psychological aspects of law. Therefore, we are actually focusing on criminal. We are also having a paper on criminal forensic psychology, where we are teaching what all other psychological aspects which leads to a particular crime. There are also a lot of series, web series, which talk about the criminal aspects, behavioral aspects. So there could be certain psychological disorders which are leading a person to commit a crime. There could also be certain behavioral problems. So what all things are there, how a suspect actually is considered as a suspect, what is eyewitness testimony, why what are the factors which are affecting people to focus on certain aspects of the criminal scene and not the others, why people are able to remember the color of the dress and not the faces of the people. So we are actually teaching all these things here. So it's not just limited to one particular field of psychology that we are focusing only on clinical, only on counseling, or only on organizational. Rather, all the fields of psychology are there. We also have positive psychology. We also have human resource management. We also have a lot of other fields where we are covering each and every aspect of human behavior. We also focus on the research aspect. So there was also a question in the chat box where a person has asked if a person wants to become a researcher and a clinical psychologist, is it different? So there are also clinical psychologists, for the student who has asked this question, who actually do a lot of research. There are also people in who actually focus on both the things, and there are also people who focus on just one thing. So research always go hand in hand with all the fields of psychology, whether you talk about industrial, organizational, or you talk about clinical. So research is something which has to be done, because you need to know what are the recent trends because of which a particular behavior is happening. You
Right.
need to know the psychological disorders, the causes of psychological disorders which were there 20 years ago might not be the ones which are right now.
Absolutely.
If we talk about let's say a very general thing, if we talk about the suicide rates are more in females as compared to males. Let's just an example. So the reason for the suicide which was there 20 years ago is not the same which is right now. So therefore, we need to keep doing researches of what are the trends which are happening, what are the factors which are leading the consumer to buy a particular product. So that is one important thing. Similarly, if we talk about sports psychology, or the people who will be interested in the other fields of psychology. So all the fields of psychology are combined here at SRM, and we are giving the practical choices. We are giving the projects according to the wishes of the students. So if a student want to work with the sports person, we are actually organizing the project through which they can actually work with them. If they want to work with criminals, so we are actually organizing a project where they can work, where they can talk with criminals, they can ask, they can interview them. So we are teaching all the research techniques with the help of the the field that the students are interested in. So it's not just like giving them something to do which they do not like. We try to engage students in such a way that they actually generate their interest over there.
Brilliant. So we've got industry interaction, we've got internship exposure, we've got the fact that we've got understood that, there is no eligibility criteria, so to speak, that you have to have studied something in order for you to study either psychology or political science. We've had a deeper understanding of where all we can apply this. There is input, there is input in corporate, there is input from being able to look at government work. You can look at working with the developmental sector. You can work individually in policy and development. You can go ahead and work with individuals as well. You can team up either of these two subjects at the master's level with things like either a master's in that subject, or you can pick management or mass communication or law and use these as your basis. So if you pick mass communication and say you pick journalism, you will be able to then write about, you could be a political writer, you could write about what's happening in government. If you're picking management, you can take either psychology or political science, be able to look at structure in organizations, look at areas like marketing and advertising, and in terms of even employee engagement, human resources. So they become a base there as well. You can study either and go ahead and study law, and you have direct impact in either criminology, helping people, human rights, as Deepak mentioned. So many areas that will end up happening there, right? So it's a really great connect that happens. It's a really great interdisciplinary as well as multidisciplinary element that's happening. As you guys go forward, with just my last question that I want to ask you, are you seeing more and more of this interdisciplinary learning coming forward as we go forward in the future? Deeper connections between subjects. Yeah. So Deepak, your thoughts very quickly, because we're kind of running over time. And then Sonali, your thoughts as well. Are we looking at more interdisciplinary? Should I be very focused and say, only want to study this subject, don't want to study anything else? What's going to work for me?
Absolutely, ma'am. As per the new education policy, see, there are a lot of multidisciplinary things which are coming into the picture. And even our curriculum at SRM is not just restricted to only political science. We are here to widen the horizons of the students. So for that, there are university open electives for the students. University open electives, even a BTech student can go for a political science subject, or a political science student can go for something related to management, for entrepreneurship and all these factors. So there are certain papers which are attached to it. So there is a pool of subjects, a pool of papers from where the students can take the subjects, can take the area of interest other than their degree in which they are pursuing it.
Right.
So things are there. Along with that, there are certain generic electives. So in our university, we amongst humanities and social sciences are having these kinds of elective subjects, where a political science student have options to take from psychology, economics, or English as a minor subject, where you would earn a degree in a specialization degree in political science, but along with that you will be having a minor specialization in all these subjects.
Right.
Then university open elective, which is again going to be as and when we are going to incorporate the entire national new education policy which is there. So with that, definitely each and every course is going to be a multidisciplinary thing. So multidisciplinary aspect has to be there. I would suggest that it definitely opens up wider aspect. It makes you think, it makes you generate a lot of other thoughts, not just how you are going to utilize your expertise in other areas. So that is something which is very important. So for that, this is incorporated in our courses. This is going to be a must in the upcoming days. for almost every university, as and when they are going to implement the new education policy. So I personally feel that this should have come earlier. But again,
Yeah.
these are things which are, see, never late than better. So these factors are always there. So yes, multidisciplinary thing is very important, and we are incorporating all of these.
Wonderful. Sonali, your thoughts on the multidisciplinary element?
Yeah. So before going into, this question has already been answered. I was about to answer this question asked by some of the students for the clinical psychology. So yes, as Mr. Deepak said, that we are focusing on interdisciplinary because see, psychology again is one field which is not just restricted towards a very narrow spectrum about focusing only on mental health. We have to focus on different aspects also.
Yeah.
Therefore, we are providing this psychology as open elective to the other people, to the people of other courses like political science, economics, English, and to the whole university, to law as well, where students from the other fields can study certain papers in psychology and they can relate to their own field. Similarly, to the students who are taking BA Honors Psychology, we are providing the open electives from other courses so that they can relate psychology to their interest area. There are certain people who are interested in literature, and there are in literature also there is a lot of overlapping between psychology and literature. People actually read about Sigmund Freud, about Erikson, who are already a part of psychology. So therefore this actually widens the horizon for the people in psychology to relate these papers, these courses, to the ones they're interested in. So because there is a relationship between political science and psychology, so the people who are opting for psychology, but they want to know what is the political behavior of the people, what do they do when there are elections, so they can opt political science as their open elective, and then from there they can think of ideas and then come onto the researches and do the projects. So
Right.
this is not only beneficial in getting the knowledge about the other subject, this also lightens the mood of, so that they are not very much restricted only to psychology, only to one particular thing. And third, very much important benefit is that they actually understand the relationship between the courses, and they actually merge these two courses in order to understand in a different manner. Also, one important thing at SRM, what we are providing is that we are not restricting the people to choose only one open elective. So we
Yeah.
are giving open elective in 4 semesters. So students
Not audible. Now you're back. Now you're back. Yes. Say something now. Try speaking now, because it cut out for a second.
am I audible now?
Yeah, you are. You might. I think your Bluetooth might have, or your headphones might have disconnected.
Okay. So what I'm saying is that it's not just that they have to go on with just one open elective that they have selected. In case if they have open elective in 4 semesters, they have the choice to change their open elective. So in case if they're taking open elective as English in 1 semester, if they do not like it or they want to explore more, they can change it in the next semester, or maybe continue with the same if they want. So it's totally the choice of the students over there.
Wonderful. So we are looking at more interdisciplinary learning. We are doing that. Is there a, I want students to be able to reach out to you. Is there a mail ID or a general mail ID or a ID where they can reach out and ask you or connect with the university to be able to find out more about the courses and be able to get that done, so that they are able to get whatever we missed? And students, those of you where we've missed out any questions that might be coming in, please email us at hello@mindler so that we are able to answer the questions for you. I will ask both the panelists to be able to share an email ID that they can go ahead and you can reach them on. You've got Sonali ma'am's email ID. Please make sure that you're not sending lots and lots and lots and lots of emails. And Sana has also posted down the area where you have. She's posted a chat message which has the website as well as where you can write to us. All right. And you've got Deepak's email ID as well. I know all of you will be able to send them comprehensive questions to be able to answer for you. Just to be able to close, we have gone over time. Psychology, political science, and the humanities in general are what make everything go around on the planet. They are highly interconnected areas. You need to be able to learn and read more Read as widely as you possibly can. This will help you understand all of the interconnections that will be there. You can work in a wide array of areas. It's not just, what will I do if I study psychology? What will you not be able to do if you study psychology? And the same with political science. Oh, political science only to do an exam? Absolutely not. Political science can take you to so many different areas of work, and areas of work that require people, where governance and good thought and people who understand what the world is about are required both in psychology and in political science. So I hope that a lot of you will be able to look at these areas. There is scope, as we want to say, in all of them, and the scope is only going to grow. All right. So thank you so much, everyone, for your time and attention. I appreciate you taking the time to listen to us and patiently listen to us. I hope we were able to answer your questions in as much as we could. Email us at hello@mindler.com and we'll be happy to answer those rest of the questions for you. And all the best to all of you. Sana, is there anything you wanted to close with?
No, thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you, panelists, Deepak sir, Sonali ma'am. That was a really insightful and informative session. So thank you, everybody. We'll meet you soon again with a lot of new interesting topics to talk about to our webinars on. Till then, take care. Bye-bye. You've been a lovely audience. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Deepak. Thank you, Sonali. And thank you,
Thank you
Sana,
so
for
much, ma'am.
managing this for us so well. Thanks, Atik, as well. I'll say thank you there.
so
Thank
much.
you.
Glad to connect with you all. Thank you.
Yes, we're looking forward to seeing you guys again. All right.
Absolutely, ma'am. Thank you
All
so
right.
much.
Take care. Thank you, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye bye. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Good night.